In 6 months, 5 different employees walked into 5 different offices, all 5 ready to quit. And each time, the manager sat back and asked a question. All 5 stayed.
Welcome to It Doesn't Take a Genius.
Ramsey!
Marshall, it's so good to see you in this AI-controlled conversation that we're having. I want to thank our AI overlords for the outline that we will be following in this episode. And frankly, I keep saying AI because it kind of freaks me out that it worked this well. So here we are.
No, glad to be back. Yeah, our first episode promoting our book, The Inquiring Leader. Yes, look, our names are on it and everything. It's like real. So yeah, we talked about how through putting together a cross-functional team and asking the team questions,
Yep.
by being an inquiring leader, they had managed to save $1.2 million in just that small segment of their business.
Yeah.
And
a
how
true
perfect
business case to be made for being better at inquiring and asking good questions.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. So today, right, retention through conversation, not compensation, is the theme. Right, and we know this, like from surveys we've seen for the last 5 decades. When you ask people why are you leaving a job, pay is never at the top.
That's right.
It's usually third, fourth, or fifth. But there's always something else going on. And the response for most people is, well, I'll just throw money at the problem.
Yeah.
And what we found in this day and age, a lot of organizations don't have additional money to throw at problems, right?
Yeah.
They don't have additional money to throw at people. And so now it becomes a quality of workplace issue. And how can I get people to stay when I can't offer them more money?
Yeah, and I think you can look at this from the perspective of 2 different philosophies. If you're the kind of person who is just tired of being blindsided by resignations, this episode is for you. If you have people that keep quitting, or if you're the type of person who just says it's just my industry, it's just my department, there's just massive turnover, this episode is for you. We think we have a way to help you with both.
And just so we're clear, that this is the stopgap band-aid solution to resignations.
That's correct.
All right. So this is, if you take some of the ideas from the book and implement them, you should have less, hey, here's my 2-week notice conversations.
That's 100% correct.
So yeah, don't think this is we're for this.
Yeah,
what's your superpower as a manager? I save people from resigning. No, that's not a good thing. Right? We want to save people from resigning, but if we solve this at the root,
right,
we will have less people who end up here. So in this case, we got stories of where 5 different managers talked about, right? People came in to resign. They had an inquiring mindset, a curious mindset. And the first thing they did was they didn't make an assumption. This literally happened in my family this past week. My daughter turned in her 2-week notice to her boss. Her boss's question was, well, I'm sure you found something really neat. I wish you well in that.
Wow.
My daughter quit her job without having another job.
My goodness.
So, she's got interviews that she's scheduled and things like that. But the manager just made the assumption, oh, you found something better and you're moving on.
No curiosity at all.
Yeah, this is just how it is, right? When the reality is, she would rather, do any menial type of work that she can get in the meantime to tide her over until she finds another career building opportunity. But the manager, right? And you think about it, right? Maybe a little bit of denial.
Yeah.
Right. I can't believe anybody would leave without having their next step, in the bag. And that's that, maybe they're projecting what they would do.
Yep.
And so they made the assumption, they projected what I would do in the same situation. So you probably did the same thing. So I'm not even going to ask.
Yep. And that's where our story begins today. And you and I came into the story at the end of the process. We were visiting with a client and had been meeting with various managers from various separate locations over the course of a couple days. So we learned about these five different stories over about 2 days, and they had happened, in the month or two beforehand. We had been working with this organization about 6 months at that point, something like that. And but the stories were all the same. The stories were all the same. It was somebody wandering in and saying, "Hey, I'm quitting in 2 weeks," or "Hey, I'm quitting tomorrow." In some cases, and it's all the things you just said. Instead of making assumptions, instead of reacting, God forbid, overreacting, what each of these managers did is something that takes a mindset shift. They paused and said, can I get a little curious here? Can I reflect with this person and find out more about what's going on?" And so they all asked some question.
Mm-hmm.
In some cases, it was just like, "Hey, tell me what's going on. Tell me more. Can you tell me more about your situation?" In another case, it was, what's your thinking behind this decision? What's behind this decision? And in some cases, it was, one of those more traditional questions of, what would you need to be true for you to stay? Questions like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the questions were an invitation for a conversation, right? A human being and a human being talking over what's going on, what situations are. Lots of different things bubbled up to the surface. None of the five stories were the same, right? And none of the five stories, by the way, were I want more money. That wasn't the conversation. In fact, our understanding is that not a single one of the five got a raise in that moment, and yet all five decided to stay.
Oh, yeah. Well, you think about, yeah, these weren't magic words,
Yep.
just real questions asked with curiosity and coming from a caring place.
Yeah. Well said.
Right? I don't want you to leave,
Yeah.
and I care about you. I care about you being successful, and I want you to be successful here. So, yeah, what would have to change in order for you to stay?
Yeah.
And
It,
if you look at these questions, they sound like the questions HR would call and ask them after we'd sent them their final check.
there it is. Yeah.
Right. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the timing here is critical.
Yeah.
Right. What if I ask it before I accept their resignation?
Yeah. And
Ooh.
and of course they would had to have been asked from a place of genuine care and curiosity, right? The person would have
Mhm.
had to feel safe giving that answer. So, we talked about this in the last episode, a telling leader versus an asking and inquiring leader, an inquiring leader, as we
Ooh.
say in
Yeah,
the title of our book.
that was subtle.
Uh-huh. In the moment that tell leader, the directive leader could say, "I'm disappointed," or, "What's changed?" Or, excuse me, you're making a mistake. What kind of a raise do I need to give you to get you to stay? But this was more along the line of, what changed? Um,
Mhm.
you know, help me understand. This is a human being connecting with a human being, because that curiosity showed, like, I really do want to know what's going on as your manager. So I'm going to shut up and listen to your answer. I'm going to have a conversation with you about it. That was why it worked.
Oh yeah. Well, and most people, yeah, they didn't decide to quit the morning they walked into your office.
That's right.
Right. They've put tons of thought into this.
Yep.
Many people, they don't want to leave. I,
Right.
I don't want to, lengthen my commute or meet a whole new group of people or start over in another place, right? All those exhausting things that you have to
Mm.
do when you change jobs. And they've thought about this in some cases for months. And so they have really thought it through.
Yep.
and they've in some cases they've bullet pointed it in their minds. Maybe they,
Yep.
I've talked to people who've written it out. They've written the pros and cons, right?
Yep.
They did a T chart. What's the pros of staying here? What are the cons of staying here?
Yep.
You can get all of that,
Yep.
right? Months of introspection, months of really thinking things through. You can get access to all of that information if you care and you ask a question.
Yeah. And you might not save the employee as an employee. You might get intel that saves every other employee
Yeah,
from quitting.
yeah, yeah. Because I guarantee you, he's not the only one.
Right.
This person is the one who's just at that point now
Right.
to take the step.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
everybody else is in a different, place in their resignation. And
Yeah.
so, this one may be too far gone, but yeah, can I save the rest by
Right.
uncovering what are the friction points, what are the frustrations, what are the issues that would cause people to bail on me?
That's it. And so let's talk about this practically speaking, Mike, because we weren't there um to witness these conversations. We certainly didn't sort of say, hey, if you got somebody quitting, here's how to save them, and handed them a worksheet that they all used in these 5 different conversations. They were using principles that we had been teaching for a long time. One of those principles is that you do have to make it safe. You've got to start your part of the conversation by making sure you really would genuinely like to know the answers. You're not going to overreact. You're not going to have some big fuss. Something along the lines of, "I really appreciate your honesty here. Can we talk about what your thinking is?" So starting with safety is a big part of that.
That's not true. We've never done that here. I've heard that response before. I don't know what you're talking about.
Argue with them. It always works.
Yeah, we love you guys. I can't believe you can't see that. Uh, yeah. You're like, oh, this is not going well. This is not good. So yeah, the
I get you
uh
guys a gift card every Christmas.
yeah,
I've
I
heard that before.
I told you a year ago I appreciate you. You want me to say it every day? So yeah, that combative,
Yeah.
defensive, which I get it. It's easy to be defensive,
Yeah.
right? And here's the reality that you don't want to hear, that if they're leaving their current position to go do the exact same thing someplace else,
Yep.
they're not quitting their job. They are quitting you, right? They're
Yep.
quitting management. They're quitting the organization. Now, if I sell cars and I leave to drive a truck over the road, I change jobs.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I sell cars for you and I leave and I go sell cars for somebody else,
Yep.
I'm changing management.
Yep.
All right. And many times, right, because the other place maybe isn't doing, or they're offering something different, that means it's possible.
Yeah.
It's not like there's constraints within our leadership and culture that can't be changed.
That's right. That's right. And so you can see where this is leading, because you're really inviting them to give you that. You start with safety, but then invite some insight. What's causing this tension or this desire to move on. See if you can get them to unpack that to some degree, just like you described, right? Like there's a culture issue here. There's a workplace, an environment issue here. There's a issue with me. Maybe they'll even tell you that if you're uh, uh, making your answers, making your questions safe enough for them. And then exploring options with them. If again, this is not something that we are preaching as a best practice to wait until the very last moment to save employees who quit on you. But if you do get to that point, explore some options with them, right? What might help us move forward in a better way, right? What might help you feel like this is a place worth staying? And again, it's never about the money unless it's just absolutely that you do not pay these people enough, and the money issue is not off the table. Um, there's other things going on. There's other things going on. Whether it's a chance for growth, or it's some sort of headache that we have not gotten out of their way, a hurdle that we haven't dealt with that they can't deal with themselves. There's something there that will be a part of that discussion, but you got to explore the options if you can.
Oh yeah. Well, and the idea that you want to reaffirm trust,
Yep.
that you will still think highly of them no matter what they decide. And this is a key framework from what they call motivational interviewing,
Mm-hmm.
where you say whatever you decide. If you decide to stay or you decide to go, I still think the world of you. I
Yeah.
still think you're a great human being. I hope we can stay in touch.
Yep.
And I value you for what you've brought. I value you for who you are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, so right, because so many places, right, if you quit, you're dead to me.
Yep.
Right. Or
He
when
was a
you,
bad hire from the start.
yeah, they immediately rewrite history.
Yep.
That guy, he was always a problem.
Yep.
I never thought, I really never was that high on him.
Right.
He was employee of the month. Right? You built a statue to him. It's on the front lawn.
And you picked him.
Yeah. You chose him and you let him. So yeah, if I know historically, yeah, when somebody leaves, we still value them as a human being and we wish them well and we sincerely want them to be more and do more. Man, it makes it easier for me to open up
That's it.
to you and to tell you some of the very practical, real things that are causing me to consider leaving and going someplace else.
That's it. And again, just to wrap up this whole section of what you can practically do, you can do this instead of at the end, you can do this on a regular basis, right? Like
What?
have regular coaching sessions where you have an
What?
actual conversation. It's not an emergency.
So I call this don't wait for the funeral.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So at the funeral, I was like, oh, I wish I could have told him how great he was. I wish I could have asked him this.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
wish I'd have known more about this person.
Yep.
Right. It's too late. They're gone.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, don't wait for the funeral. Do it while they're alive. Do it while they're an engaged employee. Do it while, as an ongoing kind of thing.
Yeah, and so to wrap up, when you lead with curiosity, when you are an inquiring leader, people don't feel like cogs in the machine, right? They feel like contributors. They feel like somebody that you value. They feel like somebody who's a part of this. Much easier to lead and retain.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do more of these episodes, I think, Mike. I think this has been a big enough hit. Should we? Do you want to tease the next episode? Should we do this? I'm not sure this is the next episode is the problem.
We'll tease it and then we'll see if we do it.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah. So next in the Inquiring Leader show, we will be talking about the 4 types of questions every great leader asks. 4 types, not that many.
That's all.
4, less than a handful.
Yep, that's right.
How can it be easier?
You don't even need 2 hands.
No.
And we would like to invite you, because AI reminds us to do marketing things that we forget ourselves. Buy the book, The Inquiring Leader. You know what? What the heck? I'm going to put the QR code up on the screen right now for my little bookmark that we have marketing this book. The Inquiring Leader by Mike Marshall and Mark Ramsey. Hey, share this episode with somebody who is dealing with turnover. If you know somebody who's dealing with turnover, we'd love for you to share this episode with them. Share, like, subscribe, all those things. And, we don't do this very often, but drop us a comment. Drop a comment on the page that you found this episode on, whether it's YouTube or it's the hipsocket.net landing page. What's the best question you've ever asked a resigning team member? What's the best question you have ever asked a resigning team member?
So good. So good. The good stuff. We'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. Because you've made it this far, you get to hear our announcer talk just how much he loves us and how excited he was for the episode, and a ukulele solo by our very own Mark Ramsey, author and musician.
It's a gift.
So go ahead and tweet that, or share it any other way you want. As always, there are no rights reserved, no trademarks, no copyrights. Share it if you want to. And join us next time on It Doesn't Take a Genius.
That's good enough.